Welcome to your new day.
This is Early Breakfast
on 702 and CapeTalk.
At 9 minutes now, it is to 5 o'clock. A laptop battery reportedly caught fire aboard an American Airlines flight not too long ago, leaving at least 4 people with burns and putting lithium-ion battery safety back in the spotlight. So how safe are our laptops and power banks when we're flying? That's a question we're asking Brendon Peterson. Brendon is a tech expert as well as editor of Reframed. Brendon, a very good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Africa. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. How are you?
Not doing 100 jumps, but, maybe I'll listen to Liesl and start with a few and, we'll see how the day goes.
I know she's a health expert. I promise you, Brendon. Rowan did them with relative ease, did not even break a sweat. And if he can do them in 45 seconds, I promise you anyone can do them in such a short space of time. It's become quite habit for us to pack all of our gadgets and our toys when we are traveling, particularly going on holiday, where you will then have your tablet, you will have your smartwatch on you, of course, you'll have your power bank, you'll have your laptop, you'll have whatever other toys you might have. And seeing that this American Airlines flight saw a laptop battery catching fire, this might be a dangerous activity for us.
Yeah, I think, seeing that story was so interesting because I was actually just saying to Rowan earlier, I've been doing a lot of traveling lately and I'm potentially going to the US in a bit. And, American Airlines was one of the airlines I was looking at. And then, of course, the story broke. I know the initial sort of knee-jerk reaction is to look at a story like that and think, oh, my goodness, laptops aren't safe. All of these things are not safe. That's not the takeaway you should be getting from that story. We've been traveling with laptops and, phones and these things for, how many decades, people have been traveling with this, and how many millions and millions of people travel every day with these things. The bigger concern really is, things like power banks, those lithium-ion power banks, because, those unfortunately are where the higher sort of risk is when it comes to traveling, because I think we take better care of our laptops and our phones and things that we do with power banks. Sometimes you'll see power banks with dents and loose ports and those sort of things. And when lithium-ion batteries get that kind of sort of disturbance or damage, it increases the potential risk of something, unfortunately bad happening. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I think what's great about, what you see with that American Airlines story is the fact that this person obviously had their laptop with him in the cabin, not in the hold, not in their checked luggage, because staff are trained to be able to handle situations like this and be able to do things, to be able to mitigate and make sure that, this doesn't become a far worse scenario than it could be.
The Federal Aviation Administration, though, verifying that there have been 58 recorded lithium battery-related air incidents so far this year. I imagine all of these are in America because the FAA obviously has purview over America. These involved smoke, fire, or extreme heat. In the last 20 years, apparently, the highest number of incidents related to battery packs was 84. So these do happen with some regularity, don't they?
They do, but if you think of what was 84 over 20 years versus how many millions and millions of people have been traveling, that's a very, very, very small percent of a percent. So yes, the risk is still there, but it is not, as high as the risk of, knock on wood, getting knocked over by a car crossing the road kind of thing. That's a far higher risk, but it doesn't mean that it's not still dangerous. So when you are traveling, and it's something I do with way too much irregularity, it's things like when you have anything with a battery, and we're talking about something as simple as a pair of headphones, or as you said, a smartwatch, or, there's so many countless other things. If you're traveling with a camera, if you're traveling with, even those portable microphones that people love to, clip on themselves if they're filming some content. Those all have batteries in. Anything that has a battery that needs to be charged needs to be in your carry-on luggage, and especially power banks. If you travel, you'll hear the airlines now say, power bank in your carry-on luggage. But when you get into the plane, take it out, and you've actually got to keep it either on your person or in the seat in front of you.
Because I suppose that then becomes the next logical question, right? How do I make sure that my power bank, my smartwatch, my laptop is not the one that catches fire?
Well, some of the obvious things to look for is your power bank damaged? Have you dropped it, repeatedly? Have you dropped it from quite a great height? Is the casing damaged? Are the ports loose? Does it get unnecessarily, unreasonably warm to the point where you can't hold it while you're using it? Other things to look at are, what is the allowed size of the power bank? Because lots of different countries, lots of different airlines have very sort of different rules. China, for example, I think it was last year, started enacting the triple C rule. So, if you're going into China and traveling across the country there, you've got to have a power bank that has the triple C mark, which is still very difficult to find. Otherwise, they are going to confiscate it. But usually it's like 20,000 milliamp hours for some countries is the limit. Otherwise, they look at I think it's 20 kilowatt hours is the maximum, and that you can either find on the power bank itself or usually in, the documentation, because you need to be able to prove it as well when you get to the airport. This is how big my power bank is.
How easy is it for one to find charging units at whatever destination you're going to? So therefore, should we, because I'm trying to remember actually, I can't remember the last time I traveled with a power bank on me. Because, look, I'm one of those people who actually enjoys reading a book and will happily watch a movie on the back of the chair in front of me. Whereas I do know there are people who are desperate to make sure that they are able to connect. And many of these international airlines now do allow you to connect while you are traveling and flying, right? I'm not one of those people. So I'm happy for either my laptop to drain until it's done, or, in fact, when I get there, it will be closed and I'll only open it up when I get to the other end. Because I've always been able to find charging units on the other end. So therefore, I do not need any power bank or any battery life that is going to be excessively long for me.
Well, I've recently got myself back into the habit of reading as I travel. So I'm slowly joining your ranks here in Africa. But, unfortunately, is also the other side of it where, a lot of us, there's work that still needs to be done. I edit multiple magazines, and sometimes, I think it was just recently, I was boarding a plane and then someone sent me a WhatsApp. Here's an issue that needs to resolve. And I was like, guys, I'm getting on a plane. What do you want me to do? But of course, I can't make that excuse anymore because, now there's satellite connectivity and all these things. And a lot of the airlines now also have PowerPoints at your seat. So either underneath the seat or, the screen in front of you where you can plug in. So not using a power bank, actually take a plug in and be able to charge and connect. So that definitely helps resolve some of that concern. I mean, I do always travel with at least one power bank because you never know what's going to happen. But again, it's one of those things where I check the back, I check the size, I check, how safe the casing is, how safe the housing is. In terms of buying, at your destination point, you can certainly do that, but then you still got to bring it back home with you, so you still have the same issue of, is this power bank going to be the right power bank to take on the plane? Is it going to be safe? All of those things.
Absolutely. Brendon, thank you very much for your time this morning and your insights. Brendon Peterson is a tech expert and editor of Reframed, reflecting on a recent story of a person who received medical treatment after a passenger's laptop caught fire while on board an American Airlines flight. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, there have been 58 verified battery-related air incidents so far this year. But as Brendon suggests, we fly so much in the world that to only report 58 is actually a significantly low number.